This entire thing from the beginning, I've felt, has been just such a drastic government overreach. Everything from the lockdowns, the shutdowns, the stay-at-home orders.
Hey, what's shaking? This is Rick Jordan. Welcome back to All In. Real special treat for you today. This is I'm really pumped. Really pumped because this is somebody that I know, and we shared a death threat moment together. It was pretty fantastic. Lindsey Graham, what's shaking?
This program is shaking, it sounds like.
It's so fun. I have a lot of fun. You have a lot of fun. I let in with something that was almost like kind of a bombshell, which was cool because we were filming the documentary, which, by the way, Jeff was just texting me just a minute ago saying, like, dude, this is so good. He spent the last week, it's so close. He spent the last week getting it down from like 2 hours and 45 minutes down to an hour and 35 minutes now. So wow. it's in the very last phases. It'll be ready in like just a few days, which is pretty fantastic.
I'm so excited. I'm just chomping at the bits, waiting to see that. I just saw, the sneak preview, the kind of the glimpse.
Yeah.
And it's just amazing to me. That's a whole nother art that I'll never know anything about, is film editing. And just the preview was like, goosebumps and chills and like dramatization. So I can imagine the film is going to be fantastic.
It's gripping because I'm not involved in the editing process at all. I'm executive producer, host, but when I was interviewing you, that was almost like the extent of it. And then we talk about the business side and the back side of it. But when I saw the teaser trailer for the first time too, it was just everything. It was like validation. Like, this is the message that really needs to get out there.
Yes. There is a pretty powerful message. He did convey that, I believe, in the preview.
Yeah.
A lot of people are concerned with, like, what message are they going to convey, that this is fine, that the government locks us down. And I was like, nope, that's not the message I'm getting. So that's exciting.
For sure. Right on. We won't spend a lot of time on because I want to get to a lot of your story, but I let in with that we shared a death threat together because while we were filming, right in the middle of it, the dude held up a pizza box, which was, I can't remember everything I've got a photo of this too, but I can't remember everything that was said on there, but it was just like, literally, like, watch your back, I'm going to kill you.
Yes, I remember what it said. It said, you're no hero, you're a murderer, watch your back. Might have called me the B word, I'm not sure.
Yeah. That was.
But then he rode away on his little bicycle.
Yes, he did. That was crazy. I mean,
so clearly, I'm very threatened by this little biker kid.
No doubt. What was really cool was that, and I don't think we captured this part on film, but that pizza box, I remember, came from pizza that you bought, something like 85 guys who just like armed themselves and guarded your salon the night before, right?
Yep. Yeah. So he used my own pizza box to threaten me. He must have dug it out of our dumpster. But yeah, that's pizza that I bought because either 2 or 3 nights prior, my salon was threatened with the riots. People were saying that, go burn the salon down, beat up Lindsey, loot and riot her salon. So about 85 armed men and women showed up outside my salon and vowed to protect it at all costs. And actually, the whole entire downtown Salem had about 300 people. If you went on a walk around downtown, they were on every corner. They were outside every business. So it wasn't just, the people that I had asked to come. It seemed like they had rallied people, and they didn't just protect my salon. They went and protected the entire downtown Salem. And actually, the Salem Police Department recognized that we probably were not rioted and looted because of that, because there was such a strong power and presence before they even got to that point.
Wow.
So that's pretty exciting.
That was exciting. I know I met a couple of the guys that were just out there after we were done shooting when we were there, and it was just amazing dudes, just patriots. Pretty fantastic.
Patriots. Yeah, actually, I was on an airplane a couple weeks ago, and I was wearing my, Keep America Great hat. Just waiting for the comments, and the guy behind me says, "I like your hat," and I said, "Thanks." And he was wearing one too. And a couple seconds go by, and he goes, "Do you own Glamour Salon?" And I was like, "Oh gosh, yeah." And he said, I was outside your salon. I protected it. I came armed and I stood outside and I was like, what? What are the chances?
That's awesome.
So cool.
Here, let me buy you a wine on the plane, please.
Yes, yeah. When they start serving again, I've got you.
Yeah, no kidding. Delta is serving again, which is interesting. This is just a completely aside thing, but I was on my way to Seattle a couple weeks ago, and the guy was so nice because, this is... I've seen a lot of things. Like I've seen both ends of the spectrum. I've seen people wishing that they didn't have to go back to work and still leech off of unemployment. And I've seen the other side of it, just really, really happy to see customers again and grateful that they have jobs, paying jobs. Yeah. It's been interesting the past couple months. You said a lot's changed.
And there's no middle ground, it seems
there
like.
Isn't, no.
There isn't. There's no middle.
Not at all.
I'm impartial.
Yeah. This Delta flight, this guy came back and he handed me a red wine. And it was first class, and he's like, here you go. But then he hand wrote a note to everybody in first class and just said, hey, I really appreciate, his name was Garrett. I saved the note because it was the best customer experience I've ever had on any airline, any flight. So really glad to have you back. It's like, you guys are trailblazers. You're showing everybody that's safe again. Like, this was the kind of phrasing in this personal handwritten note from the first class flight attendant. And afterwards he goes, I know you really enjoyed the wine. He goes, here's 4 more bottles for you. And he put them in a bag. He goes, for you to take back to your hotel with you tonight. That way, because nothing's really open in Seattle, but this way you can still have access to wine. And then he actually wrote a thank you card even after. So I got a welcome card at the beginning of the flight, and then a thank you card with 2 extra masks in it. Because if you need a mask going around town, here's some extra disposable ones for you, some medical ones. Because some places, at the beginning of this whole thing, it was like, screw it, I'm not going to wear a mask. I know the science behind it, all this other stuff. But then as it went along, I've gone through like these phases of thinking I don't want to instill fear in other people, but then at the same time understanding that in order to even live life and shop places, because now, just like you, and this is going to transition into like your business, I promise here, because small businesses and any kind of business really should be able to set their own rules, regardless, right? So when they set the rules of saying, if you want to patronize our store, then you need to wear a facial covering. I'm like, okay, because it's not mandated by the state, and it's because it's a small business, and you're laying the ground rules for yourself, for everything that you're responsible for. I actually respect that a lot more than I do any kind of state or federal mandate, because it's their choice. It's a small business owner's choice.
Right. And then it becomes the customer's choice too. Right now, it's not anyone's choice. If I was given the choice to shop at store A or store B, and store A says we require masks, I'm going to take my business to store B because of my beliefs. But then now store A can decide for themselves, is this working for us? Is this really what we want to stand for? And store B can decide the same thing. Some people aren't going to go to store B because they don't feel safe because they're not mandating masks, and they'll lose some customers. Store A will lose customers like me who refuse to wear a mask. Vice versa. It's probably going to even out in the end, ironically. Sure. But at least we have the freedom to choose, and then the business has the freedom to choose, and we're all given our American rights back.
I feel like I need a big gong over here, because that's exactly what I was thinking. It's the freedom of choice. Each of those options are the freedom of choice, and that's what I fully support.
Yeah, this entire thing from the beginning, I've felt has been just such a drastic government overreach. Everything from the lockdowns, the shutdowns, the stay-at-home orders. It's like, your job as the government is to inform us correctly and truthfully, not using the media, using actual government outlets, is to inform us of the actual risks statistically. And then we are given the choice how we want to handle those risks. It's just like getting in a car. We all know the statistics about car-related deaths, accident deaths while you're not wearing a seatbelt. We have the right to get in a car and drive somewhere, because we've been educated about how dangerous it is or is not. The same with COVID-19 or any disease or flu in the future. Should be, here's what we know so far. This is what we're suggesting. If you're compromised, you should probably stay home and avoid a lot of contact with other people. If you're not, please be aware that you could infect someone who's compromised. However, you make that decision. And those of you who are terrified and or highly compromised, you should and could make the choice to stay home, which is very smart. And those of you like me, who from the very beginning was never afraid of getting COVID or contracting COVID, or even, giving COVID to someone, I'm going to choose to continue to live my life as normal. And I have suffered no consequences by doing so.
I'm with you. I'm 100. I'm with you. I mean, that's a.
I know. When I go on these rants, and you're probably just like, I know.
No, it's great because it's not my voice, and which is awesome because it's a shared voice, and a lot of us really feel the same way. And I want to get into what's changed too since we saw each other. I think that was May. I think it was
yes, it would have been probably the end of May.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Before we go into that, I remember this thing because I remember walking into your salon, in the Glamour salon, and the first thing you said when you saw me, because here I've got the jacket. I brought the jacket with, right?
Oh yeah, the jacket.
This guy. I walk in because this is what I wore for the interview, and I walk in like, oh yeah, he's total LA. I was like, what? I don't know what did Jeff tell you about people? I never got to that.
I don't think he told me much of anything. That are you the producer of the documentary? But either way, I think I was in my office when you came in. And I was like, who is that guy? He is not from here. And I actually thought you might have been someone's client. And I was like, that is so cool that we're attracting those kind of people, like these, high-end, like metro dudes that are like trendy and like looking dapper. And then when I saw you with Jeff, I was like, oh, of course you're with a film producer. Of course you are.
That's so funny. I heard that. I'm like, I'm from Chicago. I'm like, I don't really know. I don't know.
I bet you stand out in Chicago, though.
I do a little bit, yeah. There's not too many people that drive Aston Martins in Chicago either.
I didn't know that part.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun. That's one thing I've always thought, and I'm starting to go with like more blacks and dark colors now, just because it looks better on camera. I mean, that's just kind of how it is. But
right.
But
I don't know.
I've always dressed loudly because I felt that who I am on the outside should be, or on the inside should be expressed by what I wear on the outside. I mean, you have tattoos, right? You have a lot of them, and that's the same principle, right?
Sleeved, yes.
Yes, sleeved.
And it's ironic because, like what you're saying is, who you are on the inside should be who you are on the outside, and I feel like tattoos portray like this, this large and in charge kind of badass, hardcore person, and that's kind of not really who I am inside. So it's kind of funny because some people they'll get a different impression of me, who I am, just based on the dark hair and the tattoos.
Yeah.
I had like one of my best friends I've had for 20 years or something. She confessed to me that when her mom first met me, she made that, that kind of judgment about me. And then later she said, boy, that Lindsey, she's just the nicest girl. You wouldn't know it by all those tattoos, but she's pretty sweet inside. I was like,
oh, that's great.
She thought I was this hardcore girl.
Yeah, no kidding. That's so funny because I've gotten that too. I used to dress in all black when I was a teenager, and everyone thought that I was just this like rebellious teenager. I was in some sense, but at the same time, it's like Dad died raising my brother and sister. I had a lot more responsibilities than most adults had at the time. I was still living life and just getting things done, but I just chose to dress how I dressed. And it's interesting the perspectives that people had or have of you. So we saw each other back in May. And there's a lot that's changed since then, right? There's a lawsuit that's taking place right now. You're looking at your future. Where's everything right now? Where do you see things landing? What's happened?
Well, what's happened and where I see things landing is very, very different because so much about my life has changed that I could never have predicted that I'd be who I am today, or that I'd be in this position today, or I'd be the girl saying, that people are saying is representing Oregon in all these lawsuits. That was never my intention. So I don't know where everything's going to land. I refuse to make predictions about my life moving forward because I really have no idea what all of this is going to entail. It's taken so many different turns throughout the process and each have been shocking. So I'm like, well, I guess, talk to me again, Rick, in 3 months. We'll see where I'm at. But as far as the process, a lot has changed. You guys, I think, had met with me probably a few weeks after I opened against the mandate. And I don't know if we had been allowed to reopen yet, because, our governor did eventually say, oh, you can reopen. I think it was like May 18th. And I had opened May 5th.
Yeah.
So about 2.5, 3 weeks before the government said we could. But after she said we could open, things kind of calmed down quite a bit. It was just like, cool, let's just do hair now and get back to normal life. But, since then, there's been new things, like now they're requiring us to wear masks in salons. The stylists have to wear them all day long, and we have to enforce them upon our customers. And I do not. I don't enforce masks on my customers. I give the independent contractors there the right to decide if they want to wear a mask. Some of them do, like maybe 2 of them. The rest do not. We're really enjoying our freedom to work and be able to breathe, fresh air. And we are not enforcing any masks on any clients that come in the door. So, but we haven't gotten in trouble for that. So
not yet. I remember that OSHA was like a big deal at the beginning when you opened up. Have they come back, like especially for the mask thing? I could see them knocking your door down.
So this is what I think, and I could check with my attorney about this, but from what I understand, because OSHA visited me and conducted an investigation, and because they've cited me, they actually cannot come back on the premises during an open and pending investigation.
Oh.
So because there's open litigation, it almost is just a shoo-in that we can do what we want to do in my salon, which is all right. And I don't think OSHA can come in and enforce the mask mandate because there's a pending litigation. I also know that because I don't have employees, OSHA really doesn't have jurisdiction. So, and really OSHA doesn't have jurisdiction in any business forcing them to mandate masks on their customers. Because OSHA is based on like employee welfare and safety, right? They're making sure that the boss is making sure that the employees are safe. That has nothing to do with whether the clients are wearing masks, not at all. So OSHA really shouldn't be inserting themselves into, say, grocery stores and saying we're gonna cite you if you don't make your customers wear masks. That's really not their jurisdiction. I think the OSHA is someone that the government's using as an agency to try to threaten and overpower us.
Sure.
But anyway, sorry, I'm on a rant.
No,
but
you're
OSHA. I don't think OSHA can come back into my salon as long as we have something in litigation. So
the original
Yeah.
OSHA investigation was just about exposure to COVID, if I remember right, wasn't it?
Yes.
That's why they stepped in and why they were so freaky about you reopening.
Yeah, their original investigation was that they're still actually trying to say that I endangered my employees because they tried to determine that my independent contractors are employees, and they are not. Well, they used some hocus pocus language out of my lease to say that, for example, I enforce a dress code because it's my salon. And I, request, I don't even require, but I request that they keep their schedules on, the scheduling system.
Yeah.
They're saying that those silly reasons, those silly things in my lease make my independent contractors employees. And so that's why they cited me, that I'm endangering my employees by opening against the mandate.
Wow. Wow. Yeah. That's,
yeah.
I know that's like an IRS classification thing when it comes to business, but it's not those specific things. It has to do with the employees controlling things that would normally be controlled by the employer. And that's what reclassifies them, which that's not what you're talking about here, because you're not dictating how they do their work, when they do their work. And those are the things, according to the IRS, is what shifts that from the independent contractor world over to W-2, a regular employee. But that's right. Maybe it's Oregon law or something like that. I don't know. Is this what the lawsuit's about that's going on right now with you? So that's the OSHA citation, which was $14,000. That's in litigation. And that is just that basically I have an OSHA attorney, for that. So we will be going to court soon-ish, to decide if they're going to throw that citation out, because I think that they're going to be pretty embarrassed in court once we prove how many different ways that they're wrong. So my attorney's hoping that they just drop the citation completely. However, my lawsuit is with a different attorney. His name is Ross Day, and he's a constitutional attorney.
he is filing a suit against Governor Kate Brown as a governor, Governor Kate Brown as a person, Oregon OSHA, Oregon Health Licensing and Oregon Health Authority, and Child Protective Services for harassment, basically for harassing me when I did open, for violating my 14th Amendment constitutional right, and a slew of other things, basically all surrounding the idea that I had the right to open my business and everything that happened afterward was illegal and unconstitutional.
Wow. I remember Ross. We interviewed Ross a little bit too. And at that time, it was more of like just protecting you in the moment. So this has turned into lawsuits now, which is kind of fantastic, because at that point, I think there was talk. I mean, this was 5 months ago. There was talk about potential lawsuits, but it was more of a protective standpoint for you because your kids were in danger at that point in time. And I remember that. Has that all quieted down now with the Department of Child Services and all that?
Yes.
Okay.
So they had visited me.
My heart broke.
I want to say 3 days after I opened it with a completely bogus report that was pushed through. It was pushed into an emergency mode, like go visit this house. These children are this much in danger. It was so dramatic that it can't be anything other than, one more attempt to threaten me. So they tried a couple more times to communicate with me. My attorney said, don't speak to them. Don't have any communication with them whatsoever, forward them my information. And we filed a tort claim. And a tort claim is basically saying we believe what you're doing is unlawful and we plan to take legal action later. And so you are not permitted to destroy or dispose of any documents or records or communication records, anything. So once we filed that tort claim and I made it public on my public page, the next day, Child Protective Services called and said, "Oh, the case has been closed."
Wow.
I was like, shocking.
Yeah, no kidding. Just because you fought back. That's fantastic. That's a beautiful life lesson right there, too.
Yeah.
Because, whether it's government agencies, which happens, obviously it happens. It's happened a lot over the past couple of months, too, in a lot of different places. You're one of the more public figures for that to say, hey, this is actually really what's going on during the pandemic because it is political agenda. It absolutely is political agenda. There's no other reason for that. And I remember the mayor or the governor of Oregon was very similar to the mayor of Chicago. And I remember we were laughing about this, but when salons were closed, and then, of course, Pelosi makes the news, too, for the same thing, it's like the frickin' double standards. Yeah. That's the most frustrating thing, I'm sure, for you, especially because this is your living.
Right. To say, what you do is unsafe and we don't believe that you can do it safely. And instead of giving you a choice to try to do it safely or to prove that you can do it safely, you just can't work. Sorry. And then to say, but I can be a client in that industry. I can get my hair done safely, but I get to choose who gets to do it and make their living. It's so hypocritical. It doesn't even need explanation. Obviously it's hypocritical. And I believe firmly that Kate Brown was getting her hair done. She was, doing videos and press updates and all kinds of, video Zoom meetings. And she's pretty old. She probably has gray hair. She never had gray hair during that time. So, the home girl is not touching up her roots in her bathroom. I don't think.
Yeah.
So she got her hair done the whole time.
Wow. What's the lawsuit? Are you allowed to talk about that? What are the complaints in the lawsuits? Because you said against the state of Oregon, right? Against Kate Brown as a person and as a governor. And then I forgot the third one at this point. Sorry, it slipped my mind.
Oh, that's okay. So after I opened, pretty much every single day after I opened, a new government agency was issuing me a threat. And the threats came from the Oregon Health Licensing Office. They threatened to take away my salon's facility license, and they threatened to take away my license as a hairstylist. So not only could I not work, I can't even own the salon. The salon can't operate. Like they were going to take it away forever.
Wow.
I was threatened by the city of Salem, who holds my lease, and they sort of, hinted at, if you remain open, you're violating your lease. And so there could be consequences. Child Protective Services, of course. And then Oregon Health Authority sent an email trying to enforce a new regulation seriously based on the fact that I opened against the mandate. They created a whole new regulation just for it. And they threatened to shut me down, issue a $5,000 to $50,000 citation per day, or arrest.
$5,000 to $50,000 citation per day. Did I hear that right?
Per day, yes. Yes, it was very, very vague. It was like, if you continue to violate this order, the citation could range from $5,000 to $50,000 per day. Like, it was just like, it was ridiculous. Yeah. And at that point, with that kind of ridiculous threat, I was like, no, you really don't have the authority to do that. So like, this is just, it's just so dramatic. Like, they're so clearly trying to bully me and scare me that it became like, you know what? I'm going to prove you wrong. I'm just going to keep staying open.
You know, it's a crazy thing in situations like these I always say, and maybe I'm the weirdo for thinking this way, but they're coming from government agencies, right? All of these threats that you have, but yet there's always a freaking human being that has to deliver these threats to you. And if that's the way that I'm able to actually maybe bridge the gap and look at that person and be like, is this something that you really, really believe in? You know, is it, because you're telling me that for over the next week, I could be fined $350,000. How much do you make in a year doing this job? You know, does any of this go to you? I don't think it does. So is this something because you are literally responsible now as a person? You know, I don't care about the agency, anything else. Maybe your name's Bill. I don't know. We'll call you Bill. Bill. Why do you feel like you personally, Bill Thompson, hey, I made up his name right now, Bill Thompson.
There's really a Bill Thompson out there, and he's pissed right now.
Yes, yeah. Bill Thompson, you make $60,000 a year, and you want to try to take away from me, my family, because I probably make, combined with my husband, maybe like it's similar, right? We'll just say it's similar. I don't care.
Sure.
But whatever, for the case of this conversation. But he's a human being, and being like, Bill, how would you like it if somebody came and fined you $350,000? I'm just trying to work just like you are, man.
Right. And that's the irony of it too, is the people delivering these threats to me, they still have a job. They're literally doing their job by threatening me and sending me these letters. And it's like, wait a second, you're saying it's okay for you to come into contact with me and make these threats to me while collecting your government paycheck and your health benefits and your paid time off and your vacation leave. You're delivering me threats of thousands of dollars for doing the same exact thing, just working, because it doesn't matter what our career is. If we have a job, if we're working, it's essential that we work. So it's very ironic that the people delivering these threats saying you shouldn't be working are working.
Wow. That's mind-blowing to me. So what's the complaints you have against Kate Brown as a person? I'm curious about this because of where Ross is going with the lawsuit.
You know, that is a great question. I believe it's really to kind of cover our bases that acting as a governor, she never had the authority to create and uphold these mandates and sustain them and enforce them. But then if she weren't the governor, we want to hold her personally responsible as well, because if she was acting out of her authority as a governor, then she was acting as a person.
Wow.
And so she's still liable personally for the things that she's done to me.
That's an interesting concept.
Yeah.
That was like mind blown right there, because I wonder if that's, I don't know how state law reads. I know Ross does. You know, Ross is pretty freaking knowledgeable with this stuff. Your attorney. And that's an interesting concept when you say, hey, if you were outside of your authority as a governor and you did these things, it's almost, I'm relating it back to what I know and what I do. It's like piercing the corporate veil, right? You know, in business, what we have, because if somebody wrongs a client or whatever it is, a business wrongs a client, but then the client can come back and sue the company, but the attorneys always try to find a way to pierce the corporate veil to go after assets of the individual for civil liabilities, for damages, right? So this sounds like it's a similar type concept. And if she's operating outside of the authority she has as the governor, what the thought process is that, well, then you were just acting as another person. And as another person, all of a sudden at that point, that becomes harassment. That becomes,
especially if she used especially if she used her position to send these agencies after me. We've got multiple people that have come forward that have said that they've heard distinct, make sure you go after Lindsey Graham, or make sure, things like that. So it's like she used and abused that power, especially if she didn't have it, to threaten me. That's a pretty big deal. And it should be that, we've tried to recall her a couple times. And this last recall, we were short 3,000 signatures. If she got recalled, then, she's not governor anymore. So now I'm suing the governor that's not the governor. Well, I want to make sure I can still sue her for what she did as a governor. So
because the governor as itself, that's an office. It's almost like an entity. It's kind of like suing a business. It's like I was just saying there. Yeah, the governorship is an office. It's almost like a thing of itself. I don't know any other way to put that, but
I get what you're saying.
It's like a figurehead, right? It's like it's like a container. You're suing an empty box. If the thing is taken out of the box, how does that work? Yeah, I feel you on that. Where is this going? Because there's a little prompter I have here from my production team, and they just put, "We have Bill on the phone." I just see that. That's fantastic.
That is
poor
awesome.
Bill Thompson. Oh God. Oh man.
Oh my gosh.
Where is this going? Because you're talking about your future, and what's this that you said you're representing Oregon and a lot of other things too?
Well, a lot of people have said that. I don't know. I think I'm just a salon owner that just wanted to work, and I opened, and that's that. But there's a lot of people, fortunately and unfortunately, that are counting on me to pursue this lawsuit because it needs to set precedents in Oregon. Pennsylvania passed through their courts that their governor's mandates are completely obsolete. They're illegal and unconstitutional. And Michigan just passed a couple days ago in the Supreme Court that their governor could not lawfully impose, regulate, or enforce their shutdowns or mask mandates, none of it. And they've now said that the governor is open to lawsuits because businesses can now sue the governor because these, mandates were unconstitutional. So we've got, two in the courts already that have said mask mandating and lockdowns and shutdowns and stay-at-home orders are unconstitutional, and they
Wisconsin was one of the first ones, I think, way back when.
Wisconsin was?
Yeah, that was. I only know that because that's just north of me. Yeah, even before. Okay. I think it was right around the time that I was out by you in May that went to the Supreme Court, because Pritzker in Illinois was just freaking out, thinking that everybody was going to go across the border to all the now open bars, because their thing was that the state of emergency could not be extended past 30 days. That went to the Wisconsin Supreme Court. So the subsequent orders were nullified by their Supreme Court, which effectively and immediately just ended the lockdowns that they had in Wisconsin, never been back. That was awesome. That was like on day 38 or 39 or something like that, because it just went to the Supreme Court. It was amazing. But yeah, Pritzker thought everybody was going to go across the border and then bring COVID back. Yeah, and that's
because COVID only travels across the border when
exactly. For sure. I'm curious with your business, right? With the salon, have you seen recovery since then? How's business going? And I'm also curious, did all of your stylists come back?
That's such a sensitive subject. I lost, almost all my stylists with this controversy. Yeah, I had a very successful 25 station salon. Everyone was thriving and doing well. As far as I was aware, everyone was happy at the salon. But what I did brought so much controversy that, some of them didn't believe what I believed. And so they left because they couldn't support me. Some of them believed what I believed, but they weren't strong enough to endure it. Some of them believed in me, but it was affecting their business too much. And so they had to make a leave. And then some of them got so much government handout money that they thought, well, I'm going to go open my own studio, because when am I going to get this opportunity again? The government gave them so much free money, so much that they were, I want to say 4 or 5 of them were able to just go open their own studios. So the turnover, I did not expect it. I mean, from the beginning, I'd heard a lot of, you're so brave. We support you. This is awesome what you're doing. Thank you for standing up for us. And then this trickle effect happened where the left and, liberals targeted them, called them murderers, told them they're supporting a murderer. they started losing business, and a lot of them, couldn't handle that, emotionally and financially. So shockingly, business is interesting. Like, we have a lot of clients, a lot of people are supporting us, but I'm having to find more stylists to kind of fill those stations to accommodate those clients, because I lost so many stylists. I have no regrets. I mean, it really sucks, and it's really hurtful to lose those people that claim to have stood by you. But I don't have any regrets, because the people that are with me now, they support me. They are diehard. They stand for what I believe in, and what, if we get locked down again, they know I'm not going to shut down. So their job is safe. So that was just a very, like I said, things have happened that I didn't expect. I didn't expect that. I didn't expect to lose my entire salon staff, not staff, but, independent contractors, over all of this. I really thought, I believe in what I did. I still do. I always will. I believe it was the right decision. And I think that, because I think that if it were me, I would stand behind the owner no matter what, and say, I so strongly am so proud of you and thankful that I'm here no matter what. And I do have quite a few girls that have done that, but it was shocking how many didn't.
Sure. That happens. In life in general, because first I want to applaud you for real, because what you did was just standing up for what you feel is the right to work. Right.
Mm-hmm.
The pursuit of the life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness is what we've talked about, even a lot in the documentary. And that's like fundamentally of what this country was built on. Mm-hmm. The whole reason why everybody was coming over from England and why we established the colonies, taxation without representation. And that's also really what happened with the pandemic, I feel anyways, and I may be making a political statement right now, but it's more like I feel like I'm making a human statement, right? Not a political statement, a freaking human statement. Because everyone around here, I work in an essential industry, right? Because I'm not just a podcaster, I have a cybersecurity company. We were essential services, right? I was even at the White House a couple weeks ago talking with the administration about cybersecurity. Yes. Human trafficking.
You didn't invite me to the White House?
I'm sorry. Next time, for real.
Yeah, next time. This is on the podcast. This is being recorded, by the way. I know,
right?
Next time.
Now I'm locked in for sure. But cybersecurity, I started thinking, and this was like one of my own conundrums going through the past couple months. It's like, I'm essential, right? I'm essential. The first thought is like, whoopee, great. But then the second thought was, I never determined myself whether I was essential or not. I had somebody else that told me that I was, and then told the person down the street that they're not.
Right.
Just because of a different field of industry, and I started looking, it's like, well, what about everybody else? Because if there's non-essential services that actually make my business function, that serve my business, and I can't think of the industries right now, but it was just, who's deciding this? And the point is that there were other things, bodies, that empty governor box, if you want to call it that were now deciding who could work and who couldn't, who could earn money and who could not. Right. What is that? I think that might be called communism some places.
Yes, it's called tyrannical behavior. It's called control. Yep. It's called, it's horrific.
It's not a political statement, though. It's human statements.
That is human. That is very human. That was what was frustrating for me when I opened, and I had certain political sides feel one way and certain political sides feel another way. And I clearly have a political side. I think you could probably guess what it is, but I thought, this isn't political. This has nothing to do with which party I represent or who I voted for president. I just want to do hair. I have a right to pay my bills. I have a right to feed my children. I have a right to not lose everything I've worked for because the government wants to shut me down for 2 months. How is that left or right propaganda? Like, how is it Republican or Democrat? How is it not just, I'm a human being, I have a right to work my trade and provide for my family?
You got it. Where do you see this going? Because I know that your future is sort of like up in the air right now, but let's just say even like by the end of the year, where do you see yourself landing? What do you, like, if you could wave a magic wand, what would you want to happen? Maybe that's a better question.
Ooh, okay. If I could wave here, you gave me a free for all here. If I could wave a magic wand, my OSHA citation would get thrown out, which I do believe it's going to. I would settle or resolve my case against Oregon and win. I would definitely win.
Yep.
I would like to win. I would like to win money that I can put back into my nonprofit, because I have a nonprofit organization since all this started that I opened with the GoFundMe money. And I would really like to take on the role that I've been kind of handed, which is being a patriot for small businesses. I'm liking it. I enjoy it. I enjoy being, a teeny, tiny public figure. I enjoy that I get to stand up for something I believe in. I enjoy being passionate about it. It would be fantastic if I could keep this role going. I can't do it as a career. It doesn't pay. So that's why I want to win my suit, put some money in the nonprofit, work for the nonprofit, and go support and do stuff for other small businesses that have suffered way more than I have. I would love to do that, to travel and help other small businesses.
We talked a little bit about that a couple months ago when we met too, and you were just in the phase of really like establishing your nonprofit at that point, from what I remember. Mm-hmm. What's the goals of your nonprofit? Because I know you're saying being this teeny tiny little public figure, right? Yeah. I mean, the nonprofit doesn't mean like it doesn't mean like running for political office. That's a separate thing. But what's the nonprofit? Where do you see that fitting in? Because I know you said travel before. You mentioned that a couple months ago too. I remember that. Yeah,
I do. I like to travel. So the nonprofit's goal is to do what it's doing for me. So right now, my nonprofit is paying the legal fees that are suing the governor for their tyrannical overreach. What I'd like to do is have enough money in that nonprofit to do that for other businesses. For example, there is a cafe in Salem, Cafe 22. They refuse to enforce masks on their employees. And they have now been cited almost the exact same citation that I have from OSHA. They've gotten a $13,900 citation. It's called a willful violation, which is what I did. I was willfully in violation. I knew what I was doing, and I was doing it anyway. They received that citation. As far as I'm aware, they don't have a GoFundMe up. As far as I'm aware, they haven't retained an OSHA attorney. And I don't know if they're just going to pay it and move along. Or, I mean, there's a lot of different choices when you get that citation. You can pay it and then get another one. You can fight it, and then you can stay open while you fight it, and you don't have to pay it while you fight it. But they don't have anyone helping them. And I can help them, and I'm trying to help them. I've called, the husband to say, I want you to speak to my attorney. But then when it comes to, okay, who's going to pay those attorney fees and who's going to pay the citation while we fight this? It can't be me, because my nonprofit needs to pay for my lawsuit. But if there was more to it, I could say, hey, you know what? We're going to take you on. That's the whole goal here, is we're going to take your case. I'm going to pay for your attorney through my nonprofit. I'm going to fight this with you. And then you've made this bold stand, and you aren't doing it alone.
That's awesome. And is this something you see spreading throughout the whole U.S. too?
I would love that.
That's awesome.
I would love to do that. My heart hurts for Oregon. Because I believe that there's a lot more government overreach in Oregon. It's a very, very liberal state, and the governor is very. I mean, have you seen her tweets at all?
No, I don't. I don't follow.
She is kind of psycho. She's pretty psycho. So I mean, she's allowed Oregon to burn. The wildfires. If you've seen them, there's arsons. There's on record at least 10 arsonists
that's being
how they
arrested. Started. Yep, you got it.
But she literally is pushing the agenda that no one has started these fires, and it's so sad how many lives will be lost. Well, she did all kinds of things that could have prevented these fires. She pulled firefighters out. She didn't let civilians go in to fight when they were willing. She just let it spread. But they need our help a lot. Oregon needs our help a lot because of that, because of her. But I would love to see other states, survive this too. And I'd love to do this all over the U.S. if I could.
That's awesome. Where can everyone find you and keep following what's going on with you, and then also hopefully join your fight?
Okay, well, so before I announce my public page, I have to tell the story behind it because it's so funny.
Do it. Yep.
It was just Lindsey Graham public page, and it's spelled the same way as Lindsey Graham, the senator in South Carolina. I do get hate messages for him, by the way.
Awesome. Because he's such a stand-up guy, I'm sure.
I'm sure, yeah. So I had a hater, if you will, make a meme out of my picture wearing my Keep America Great hat. And she called me Patriot Barbie. And she very clearly meant to insult me. And I was like, oh, I actually kind of like that name. So I looked up, the dictionary definition of patriot. I looked up the dictionary definition of Barbie, and I, wrote a post about why I'm supposed to be insulted by being called this particular name. And my little following said, I think that that's your new name. So my new name is Patriot Barbie, and that's my public page. So if you look up Lindsey Graham, Patriot Barbie, that is my new page. And I've got girls from my hometown saying, are you making tank tops? Because I want a tank top. So now I'm looking into that too.
That's awesome. You need a badass logo now to go with that.
Yes, I'm working on that actually.
That's fantastic. Yeah. Oh my goodness. I think that's okay. We're gonna do some things. That's about it. Yes, for sure. I'm excited. That's awesome. That's a Patriot Barbie. You're gonna do tank tops. That's beautiful. I love it. Tank tops,
hats. Who knows? I might need to get a Patriot Barbie tattoo now.
Yeah, you do. Come on now. You got to represent the brand.
That's right.
That's awesome. That's so great. I'm pumped for what's going to happen over the next couple months because it's, things could go one way or the other with the election coming up, of course. I think this episode should publish before then. And when this airs, the documentary will be out too, Liberty Lockdown.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
So it's because that's only a couple days away when we're recording this here at the beginning of October. But then I'm excited because the whole thing, we did like 18 to 20 interviews, which was, like 25, 30 hours worth of footage that was then condensed down in addition to all the other footage. But we're releasing after that, like full length interviews as the vault of all of them, because, even though we spent like an hour and a half together, something like that, right. And that was even after Jeff was doing things at your home and filming things at your home. I don't know yet because I haven't seen it, but even like the death threat scenario, if that made it past the cutting room floor. But those were such moments, and thinking about where we were and where you're at now and where you're going to. I love your nonprofit. I absolutely love it. And it's amazing. That's something that just needs to continuously be funded, because whether it's the pandemic now or whether it's another crisis next year, maybe something like a 9/11 or whatever it is, this sort of established precedent as far as government overreach does to see how far people can be pushed. And you stood up, and I commend you for that. It's amazing. I'm trying to get the message out. We're on the same side of the boat. We're going to rock it and let the haters fly, because they're going to come up with great ideas for us, like Patriot Barbie.
I was just thinking that.
They think they're smart, exactly. But then they give us great ideas. All right.
Yep. They've just made me stronger. The more the harder and the meaner and the more violent they've come after me, the more I realize I wouldn't do that to them.
Yeah.
So I'm on the side of right. And when you know you're on the side of right, it makes you that much stronger. I've had some moments where I've questioned myself, but nope, I'm done questioning it. And the more and more this government overreach goes on, the more I realize that from the very beginning, we should have been pushing back. So it's been 6 months. It's been 6 months since they did this to us. I don't know if people are realizing that. That's a long time. They took away half of our year.
Yeah.
Enforcing, illegal laws on us, or not even laws, just regulations and mandates. So I'm excited to see the pushback. I think it's starting to turn. That's
great. The biggest thing that made me smile today was you saying that the child services has backed off, because that was one of the things. There was only a couple moments when I was filming that would bring me to tears, and I didn't cry in front of you. I didn't do that. Not in front of you. Yeah, I know. I cried in front of a pastor, though.
Well up a little bit.
Yeah, it was there. But when you're talking, I'm a dad, and I can't imagine that, and I'm going to save a lot of it for the film and for the interview. But there was just some things that you said that were they were gut wrenching.
Yeah, I look back on that time, and there was so much going on that I can't even fathom. I can't even remember how intensely I felt.
Yeah.
But when they handed me the paper about what would happen if they took my children away.
Yeah.
It was like, I actually, stopped and had these moments where I pictured my daughter screaming for me, mom, like in the movies, you know, where she's reaching for me and they're taking her away and I'm trying to keep calm, but everything in me wants to, you know, shoot the person holding her and grab her. It's like, how does the government do that to me just for trying to work? I mean, how does anyone in their right mind and their conscience say I know that I'm doing the right thing by threatening her children?
Wow.
Getting me all teary-eyed.
I know. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. Really.
Stop it.
Thank you for being on. We're going to keep in touch over the next couple of weeks and months too. I'm excited because when this thing releases, when you get out there, I want to see you blow up. That's it. I want to see your nonprofit take off. That's fantastic.
I should probably give people my nonprofit's website. It's not very awesome, but it's a place where you can go kind of check out what's going on sometimes.
Yeah. What is it? Go for it.
It's glamourinstituteforfreedom.org.
Awesome. Everyone needs to go there. Everyone needs to follow Lindsey, Lindsey.Graham7, right? That's Instagram. Yep. Awesome. Yeah. Follow Lindsey, watch her journey, and then just see her as a real amazing patriot and just an example for everybody. That's awesome. So you're amazing. You're amazing.
Rick. Thank you.
Thanks. That's all I got. Yeah, I'm gonna get just stop it. Go away. That's you can't do this to me. Okay.
Oh my gosh. I'm gonna do it all over again, you said.
Yes, exactly. Awesome. Well, that's it then. I have nowhere to end it. We're just gonna be done. All right. Thank you, Lindsey. Bye.